yeah, I think even now, like the stuff that I'm doing and like, kind of doing a lot of stuff with athletes and celebrities and really like doing crazy stuff. It's just crazy because it's kind of unreal. Like, and I think everyone has to keep that mindset of like, don't take it for granted. Like, you'll be way happier when you sit there and you appreciate every single one of these opportunities.
Welcome back, Schmoozers. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. I'm David Cobby, and I'm excited to bring you an episode that has a little extra magic to it. Before I introduce my next guest, I'd like to remind everyone to follow the show on whatever platform you are currently listening on. I greatly appreciate your continued support and hope you enjoy the content I put out. Get ready to have your mind blown. My next guest today is someone who has mastered the art of magic. He's performed at various bar mitzvahs, weddings, corporate events in front of many MLB teams, and has managed to become a successful magician before turning 30 years old. Whether it's Ben Shapiro or even Shohei Ohtani, this individual has managed to leave people absolutely speechless and has built a reputable business around his talents. Not only does this magician / mentalist happen to be Jewish, but he is someone who can always be found wearing a kippah no matter where he performs. Please welcome to my show, Shlomo Levinger. Shlomo, what is going on? How are we doing today?
Yeah. What an intro. What an intro. Let's go. I'm going to have to start using that before every show. That's perfect. I love that.
You could totally use that. I mean, honestly, I don't think this intro even does justice to what you've done in the past, year, 2 years or so. But again, like we'll get into it. All your accomplishments. Just again, thank you for being on the show. I know you've been on the road at some MLB teams, performing in front of, Shohei Ohtani, Alex Bregman. No big deal. Okay, I'm kidding. Yeah, man, I'm really, really excited to have you on the show and schmooze with you, man.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me. I always, I love, I guess entrepreneurial endeavors, and this is something that I think is pretty cool. Also, I like to hear myself talk. So, just both of those things together combined, this is a perfect fit. And I'm excited to get into it.
I love it. All right, Shlomo. So we're gonna start you off with the segment Jewish Geography Profile. I've been doing it for every show, just kind of like a way to introduce yourself.
Absolutely.
To have the listeners get to know you. Are you ready for your Jewish Geography Profile?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So, Shlomo, where are you originally from?
So I grew up in Queens, New York, more specifically Kew Gardens.
Okay.
Pretty primarily Orthodox neighborhood. Queens in and of itself has many Jews, but the two main Orthodox communities are Kew Gardens and Kew Gardens Hills. And I grew up on the Kew Gardens side of that.
Love it. We love our, I want to say like 50% of my guests have been New Yorkers, just because
oh yeah,
that's just how New Yorkers are, man. Like you guys are, yeah, like you guys are some of the most proud Jews in, forget about America and the world. I think, I mean, like there's a lot of you out there, but still, like you guys got a very strong Jewish community.
Think about it, because there's two aspects to it. You have like the Jewish side of it, so you have like that Jewish pride, and then you have like that New Yorker side of it, which is like, we're New Yorkers, so it's like combine the two things together. It's like it's like a crazy like fusion, I guess.
For sure.
It definitely adds a lot of flair and I don't know, just personality, I guess.
So I know you went to, I believe I saw like a couple different yeshivas. But what, I guess, tell everyone like which yeshivas you went to and if you have like a favorite yeshiva, I guess.
So I bounced around a little bit. Just for the people that are listening, like obviously there's so many different sects of Orthodox Judaism, like from ultra Orthodox, like Hasidic, all the way down to like, Reformed or, definitely like different ends of the spectrum, religious, not religious. There's so many, like, there's too many categories to get into. But I grew up Orthodox, like, even like, I guess the two Orthodox that people know the most are probably modern Orthodox and just like regular Orthodox that you'd see. I guess not modern Orthodox. I don't know what. I guess a little bit more, serious. But I grew up pretty Orthodox. I still am. I currently live in Far Rockaway, New York, which is also just 5 towns, Far Rockaway. You got everybody here. But yeah, so
Love it.
I grew up, I started, high school. I went to a yeshiva called Chavetz Chaim, which has, branches all over the country. Honestly, there's, I think, over 20 branches across the country, different communities.
Mhm.
So I just went to the local one. That's where my friends were going. So I ended up there. And then from there, I went to Israel to the same yeshiva. So it's like another, like the Israel version of it. And then when I came back, I went to yeshiva in Waterbury, Connecticut, which I know you had Rami on. We were roommates there. So that's how we got to know each other. But yeah. And then since then, I've kind of just been studying like locally, different places. But that's the rundown.
I love it. I love a lot of yeshivas. You got a very extensive yeshiva
Yeah, yeah.
background. Probably know every Jew under the sun, like
Honestly, it's
all the
crazy.
other guys.
It's crazy. Like and you know what? And it's funny because I just between like yeshiva and like camp, like Jews love camp. Like between those two, like I know people, literally like just from any like all yeshivas, even like modern Orthodox yeshivas, YU, Shalavim, all these just literally anywhere. Like I just know people, so it's crazy. Like yeah, it's cool because like it feels like everybody, but it's just Jews, so it's like it's not everybody in the world, but the people you need to know, and it's pretty cool.
I can tell you like this project that I'm doing, this podcast, right, is kind of proof of that. I mean, you just mentioned how I had Rami on a couple episodes ago, and I actually just released his episode this week. But I think there's something, and Rami kind of talked about this in his episode. That there's something about the Jewish connection where, I mean, even us, right? Like we had a 20-minute phone call, right, while you were like in the middle of New York traffic, and we picked up like that. Like we didn't even know each other, so it's just like there's something about the Jewish identity when two Jews get in a room together and they have a conversation. Like there's an
Yeah,
instant click.
and also you'll always know people the other person knows, and like you'll always
Yeah,
like have some sort of connection. And I think it's cool because like it allows for like awesome networking and like really like it's easy. Like that's why like the Jewish community is so like tight knit. People talk about it being tight knit, but like it's a real trust thing. Like the second you hear someone's Jewish, you're like, okay, I like in your head automatically, you're like I can trust that guy, and like it really goes a long way because it's just it's kind of cool that like it's kind of cool how like it gives like that automatic like credibility, which is pretty sick. I think people always want to know like why Jews are so successful. I think that's a pretty big reason because I think success comes from building a network, and we already have a pre-built network, which is
yes,
wild. So yeah,
yes. Well, and we're gonna talk about networking later in the
yeah.
episode. I'm excited to explore that with you. Moving on in the Jewish geography profile, who is your favorite Jewish actor?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, easy call right here. I think Sandler, like easy
Yeah,
Sandler call right
yeah.
there. Like, yeah, I don't think like I don't think there's anyone even really close. Maybe I'm forgetting about people, but like, yeah, Adam Sandler. Like, I think just the amount of work that he's put in, and like just the amount of just hits that like that dude's been in, whether it even be like a main role or not, it's incredible. That's a cool dude right there. For
He's awesome. I actually saw him live like a year ago,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
he was like I was crying,
Yeah.
laughing. He's such a
Actually,
funny guy.
special shout out, like obviously doesn't touch Sandler, but like special shout out Max Greenfield because I don't know
Okay,
if you ever seen The New Girl, but that show is literally like if you haven't seen it, like I used to when I was I watched it in high school. I literally used to pause. I used to pause the episode like 3 or 4 times, a 20-minute episode. I used to pause it like 3 or 4 times in the middle of the episode just to laugh. So like I didn't miss anything. I would pause it. I would just die laughing, and then I would like replay it. Yeah, that show is so funny. So yeah, shout out Max Greenfield. Like he's funny.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into a little bit of a 21 plus subject right here. On a scale of 1 to 18, how drunk were you at your bar mitzvah?
From 1 to 18,
I have to do a high. Like
yeah,
high has
no,
to
I
be
love that. I love that
the
spectrum. So at my bar mitzvah, honestly, 0, just because like I was still like super naive and like I just wasn't like, I just feel like I was very much a rule follower like at that point in my life. So I was just like, it is what it is.
Okay.
But I feel like after that, probably 14, 15, I think from there, there were definitely some fun parties and bar mitzvahs and yeah, like I think even just now we just had Purim, dude.
Purim.
Wild,
I
wild.
mean, Jews
Yeah,
can drink. I mean, from Purim
okay. Yeah,
I don't know if you're a big like Kiddush club guy, but like
well,
that.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So wait, let me give you another scenario off this. So you have unlimited money in the world, right? You're asked to buy a bottle for Kiddush Club for let's say 5 people. What are you buying, and how long does it take you to finish the bottle?
Okay, so it depends on what we're talking about. So if we're going wine, I'm a huge. There's a bottle by Castel called the La Vie.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
fantastic bottle. I have like 5 of them. I have a little wine fridge right there. Like speaking of drinking, like I literally have a wine fridge right there. I have like 5 of those bottles just sitting there in the fridge. I'm personally like, so that's the bottle I'm bringing, but like, and it's finished pretty quickly. I mean, 5 people, a bottle of wine, that's a cup each. That's, you're done. But, I'm a tequila guy. Tequila was like, I guess I mean, not recent, but like it got popular, I guess, in the last 10 years. And I got into it and I still love it. But like honestly, like when I was in yeshiva in Israel, or if just earlier on, like you take what you can get, so you'll be putting down just like red label, and it's disgusting. But like you gotta do what you gotta do, it's part of the game,
Exactly. No, I agree. So you'd say you're more like wine's like your number one choice of alcohol.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. Because like on a weekly basis, like Shabbos, like I'll have a bottle of wine Friday night, like for sure. And yeah, I definitely make preferences. But I guess that makes up for not being drunk about bar mitzvah. That I
Yeah,
feel like
there you
that
go.
makes up for it.
Exactly. So I'm gonna give you one more Jewish scenario. So and this is probably one of the corniest things I've ever said on my show, but like I think it's funny personally. So all right, God comes down and says, Shlomo, I love your magic talents, and I'm giving you the ability to take away one Jewish food and erase it completely from Jewish culture. Okay, so we're talking like you're literally you're erasing a whatever it is. What food are you making disappear?
I know what you want me to say, but I don't know if I can say it. Like I don't
Say,
know.
say it.
I'm thinking. Let me think. So get rid of one food. So I'll be honest. There's like random like Sephardi food that like I don't mess with that. Like it exists. Like I'm not. I listen. I'm very white. I'm pale. I got an Ashkenaz face. Like like there's certain like things that I won't cross that line. I won't mess with that. I feel like the easy answer is like gefilte fish. Like I feel like that's like the easy answer. Oh, by the way, we could eliminate kishka also. Like
Yes.
eliminate.
Yes.
Gone. Eliminated. Goodbye. Like
Yes.
100%. All right, that's my answer.
Okay.
Good. I just thought of yeah, get that out of here.
There you go. There you go.
All right, cool.
All right. So I want to talk about your Jewish community for a second. So you're from Far Rockaway, New York.
Yep.
And New York's a very diverse Jewish community. You got a lot of different communities. You got the SYs, you got the Haredis, you got the non-Orthodox or whatever. You guys are subject to a lot of different Jewish communities, and quite frankly, there are a lot of good, strong Jewish communities out there. But why is your Jewish community, like I want you to brag for a second. Why is your Jewish community better than other Jewish communities?
That's a good question. Okay, so I've recently moved here like 2 years ago. I've been here for about 2 years, and I could honestly say that like this is every Jewish community, but I've felt it here. Like I've experienced it. Just the amount of just like openness and like warmth from my neighbors, like my whole block. Okay. I moved out to my block not knowing a soul. Like I didn't know anybody on my block, like genuinely nobody. And, a few months in, like we're having full on like like couples meals with my neighbor, with my other neighbor, like group meet, like literally like we've had meet like Shabbos meals with like four different people on my block, like literally like, and we didn't know each other before, and we all just became friends, and like now we just have an awesome time. July 4th, we threw a big barbecue for my entire block in the backyard, like genuinely, like there's a certain like camaraderie that like I've felt warmth wise here that I don't know if a lot of other places have. Like I know a lot of other communities, people kind of stay to themselves, and it is what it is, and you know the people that you know, and you don't know the people you don't know. Especially in the heavily populated areas, Brooklyn or whatever. Like I know people that grew up in Flatbush in Brooklyn that literally they don't know, like they don't know the people on their block. Like it's crazy. Like so it's just here it's like, everything's very chill, everything's very open, like yeah, it's just some good vibes. Like
So again, with the whole openness and tight knit of the Jewish community, I think one thing that I think it's personally funny, other people find it annoying, is like people are so nosy and want to get in your business, right? Do you feel that in your Jewish community at all, or is that not really a thing?
I think it's just I think the entire like I think the Jews as a whole tend to have like a pretty nosy side. Everyone wants to know, like, just the hawk. Like everyone wants to know like what's going on, like what's, but I guess that's part of the challenge of just, you know, not wanting to talk bad about other people or whatever and try to just, stay out of it. But it's definitely a thing. Like I think it's definitely, the gossip is real. People want to know what's going on. And yeah, I mean sometimes like, people say out of pocket things and you just gotta roll with it. And you gotta just chalk it up to like, okay, they're just, you know, they weren't thinking, or like they're just a nosy person, and it is what it is. But I personally like I'm not like that. I'm very much like I don't think I am, at least. Like I don't, I'm busy with my own stuff, and like I'm trying to, hustle and run my business and, do my thing. But um and sometimes it's a good thing because sometimes like if I have something that gets out there, or if I put out content, I know people will talk about it. So
Mm-hmm.
it has its advantages too, for sure.
For sure. Now, I like that you're staying away from the whole lashon hara thing. I
Yeah,
think
I'm just like, you know what? And like, I'm not trying to like do my own. I'm like not trying to pretend like I'm such a good person. Like, I try to be as good as I can, but like, yeah, no, that's just something. Like, it's funny. Like, me and my wife have this discussion all the time. Like, literally, like, she's like, you're so annoying. Like, you don't want to hear it. And I'm like, you're right. I don't want to hear it. And it's kind of funny because it's like, and you know what? At the end of the day, she obviously knows, like, okay, like, it is what it is. Like, obviously it's not the right thing, but at the same time, like when there's something fun to talk about, and like, it's not like I'm trying to just be good. It's kind of just like I don't know. I'm not like a big gossiper. Like I just don't care. Like I just don't care. Like honestly, so it's just kind of funny there. But yeah, no, but it's great.
you just mind your own business, do your own thing, put your head down, work hard, and
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah. Honestly, yeah.
That's what you got to do. All right, final question, Jewish related question. I promise we'll get to some actual magic questions. Is I want to get
This is the good stuff. This is what people want to know.
yes, exactly. This is how I bait you into listening to my episodes. I want to get a little geschmack here for a second. All right,
Let's do it.
what is your favorite like subject, anything about Judaism to learn about, whether that was in school, yeshiva, currently, like what's the thing in Judaism, like learning about Judaism that really just like interests you?
Mm, it's a good one. Um, I think recently, um, actually, again, like my wife and I, like we've been reading this book. I have it right over there. It's called Revel in Amuna, and it's just like, um, it's just talks about like belief in God and like just like how to strengthen that, and like it's a very intellectual book. It's not like a fluffy book, if that makes sense. There's a lot of like Amuna books that are like stories, and this is more like intellectual, like really going into like explaining like what it is, like what Amuna is, what belief in God is, and like why that's different than what we can think in our head. And it's very interesting, and it's something I've been doing recently, so that's at the top of my mind. It's right over there. But I remember when I was in yeshiva, I remember just like the things that I appreciated the most. I mean, obviously, like if you sit through, if you're sitting down to learn something and you really like work hard at it and like you finally get it, like that feeling is like, like you feel like you just accomplished like the world, which is super, super cool. But I think the thing that talked to me the most, was just like, I guess just like group discussions, like being able to sit down with a group of people and talk about like real life topics and like really discuss it, like hashkafa, that type of thing, like where like, like my rabbi will bring something up that's, something like real world, something about marriage or about, just like anything. And like we just talk about it and discuss it. And like, I don't know, I'm very much a people's person. So I like having that dynamic much better than sitting down by myself to like read something. So 100% like that style is much more my speed. But yeah,
And I
100%.
think this is a perfect segue to talk about, what you're doing as a mentalist and magician. Because one of the things that you need to have as a magician and as a mentalist is there needs to be some element of like lack of belief or like disbelief. And when you're doing your shows, you got to prove to people that like you can absolutely wow them. But before we go into like how you've risen to the point where like you're doing these shows in front of all these MLB teams and you're on the road with Alex Bregman, Shohei Ohtani. I just saw your video with Trevor Bauer. I want to talk about you getting into magic. Magic is something very unique, not something that a lot of people like really pursue as a passion, as a hobby. It's kind of like one of those things that's like, oh, it's cool, entertainment, like at a bar mitzvah or whatever. But I want to talk about like why did you decide to pursue a pursue a career in doing magic, and how did you get started with doing magic?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think that you put it perfectly. Like, I think when most people think about magic, they think about, yeah, like it's just like it's another like cute entertainment, like a juggler or like a comedian or like a like it's just another form of entertainment. And I think there is truth to that. I think that that's not wrong. Like, I think that is true. But I think to like me personally, I think that it's funny because I started magic when I was 14 years old. And I started in a very like vulnerable place in life. Like I'm still a kid. Like I just basically became an adult. Like, I'm still trying to figure myself out. Like I think as we all are at that age, like we're not defined as people yet. Like, obviously we have things that we like, things that we don't, but we have our personalities, but our personalities are not fully shaped at that age. And I think that when I was getting into it, I think I had seen just some stuff on YouTube, some magic on YouTube, like some performances. And I don't know, I just had this feeling of like I want to do that. Like I want to be able to do that. I want that feeling of, I guess, acceptance of people, like I think every entertainer could talk about, or any public speaker, entertainer, anybody who's putting stuff out for the public, I think could appreciate that feeling of like of acceptance from from a large group of people. I think that's something we all strive for, or at least not everybody, but a lot of people strive for it. And I don't know, I just had that feeling of like I want to do that. So like any idiot would do, I I went out and I bought a deck of cards, and I just went on YouTube and I typed in magic trick tutorial or whatever, and I think I just went down the rabbit hole of learning the basics at the beginning of magic. And I think like honestly, like I think I was so naive and so like kind of like didn't understand what I was getting myself into, I think that was like actually huge, because I think with anything, like I think when we do too much research, we do too much research, and like we go and we look and we, okay, what, what does this entail? We don't will it will cause us to quit, because it looks too daunting. Like if we're just going in with like a blank mind and just going in for the fun of it and like to do it for fun, that's the best way, because you're gonna quit otherwise. It's too challenging. So I just went into it, and I loved like showing tricks to just my friends and my rabbis and my parents and whoever else would bear seeing it. uh and yeah, no, and I also love like the satisfaction of like same kind of thing of like working on it, like really like practicing the moves, and then like doing it, and it worked. Like it didn't always work, but when it did, unbelievable. So yeah, just like I guess all those things combined, um,
See,
pretty
I
cool.
mean, first of all, awesome stuff. Like that, like going on YouTube, just going down the rabbit hole kind of thing. Like I feel like that's how people just kind of like find their passion for things. And I think it's very cool. You started from such a young age, 14 years old, and you didn't really know like what this could turn into
Yeah,
and all that stuff. One thing,
I'm very much also like I'm very much yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but like I'm very much a go getter. Like I'm like this with anything. Like when I do something, I gotta see it through. Like I can't. I'm not like I'm not somebody who just like starts a bunch of stuff and just and just leaves it. I'm very much like with everything. Everything I do, I'm very much like, okay, like I need to like see this through. So, um, I think I got lucky kind of, because like I think this was the type of thing that um I just enjoyed right away. So it was just like a no brainer. But um, yeah,
you're sounding a lot like Rami right now. Like that's not a bad thing at all. Like I feel like both of you kind of started in a place where, obviously Rami was a little bit different because he was out of the industry initially and then got into sports radio. But I feel like both of you just kind of worked your butts off, made headway with connecting with people, whatever. Like you guys are really passionate about what you're doing. And I think one of the things that I take away from my episode with Rami is he talks about, your passion for what you're doing for a career and how important that is. And I think, with magic, it's so hard to learn magic because the old saying goes, right? Like a magician never reveals their true secrets. It's a very cliche thing,
yeah.
whatever.
By the way, I'm gonna plug myself. I don't know when this is coming out. I'm putting out. So if you're watching this, it's already out. But I'm putting out episode 1 of a series where I kind of what you were saying before of like that spark that got me started. I think this series, this episode, the series, I'm basically teaching magic, but in a way that doesn't kind of go against the magician's code, in a way where I'm teaching stuff that a lot of magic, the method is really dumb. A lot of magic is really cool. And I think there is space for magic where the method is cooler than the trick itself, which I think is sometimes is the case. And basically what I'm doing is I'm taking a lot of those types of things, and putting it out there and showing it in a way where like people could appreciate magic from like a behind the scenes view without it ruining magic. Like you see the trick, you see how it's done, but then you go like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he went through all of that just for that. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, episode 1 drops tomorrow. If you're watching this, it's already out. Very excited. It's called Outside the Box, because you have to think outside the box, and magic has boxes. So
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
That's the name we came up with, but
It's great. It's great.
um,
Absolutely make sure you go follow and watch that. And I think I'm gonna do that. I need to add some magic to my portfolio because
yeah, you'll learn some cool stuff. It's very cool.
right, it's how you become the life of the party. At what point in your magic career did you know that this was good enough, that your skills, your expertise, your personality was good enough to create a business out of it?
It's a phenomenal question. I still don't know. Like I don't I don't think I have an answer to that, because I still don't know. I think that it was a gradual process, and I think this is for anybody who's starting their own business. I think this is important, and I think I'll drop whatever knowledge I have on this, but I think that don't I think I don't think there's a point where you're like, okay, now I'm a professional. Like um I think it's gradual and it comes with time. And I've heard people give different answers to this. Like I've heard someone very respectable say 1,000 shows. You did once you performed 1,000 shows, now you're a real professional. I think what that person meant by that was when you hit a certain point where you start to get it on a level where it's like, okay, like I have a much broader understanding of what I'm actually doing here in terms of all the different things that go into it. So the business side of it, the performance side of it, the magic side of it, the sound and lighting side of it, the staging side of it, the production side of it, the audience side of it. Like there's so many things that you have to understand and know to create a good show. And I think the real answer to your question, for me personally, is I think um, I don't think there's a specific point in time. I think there's accomplishments every step of the way. I think, and those are very important to celebrate those accomplishments, because if you don't and you just get down on yourself and you say, okay, when am I going to do that big show? You're gonna hate it and you're gonna leave. But I think that when you get your first $1,000 gig, like celebrate that, be happy about that, like understand where you're at, and like I think it's very important to kind of like stay in the moment and like not look too far ahead. And I think really like focusing in on like, okay, what am I doing right now? And like, every accomplishment, every time you say to yourself, wow, like this is sick. Like sit there and be in the moment. Cause like those are the things that keep you going. Like those are the things that it's like, I'll tell you what it's like. Okay. So for all the golfers out there, and you'll be able to appreciate this either way. This is every golfer's round. You ready? However many shots it takes, let's say they shoot 100, 99 of those shots will suck. Okay. 99 of those shots will absolutely suck. You're going to shank it. You're going to hit it thin. You're going to hit it thick. Like it's just not going to go up. There will be one shot in your round that you hit it so clean and it lands a foot from the hole, and it's like the most beautiful shot in the entire world. And that's why you go back. That's why you play golf the next time, because in your head, you're like, wow, that was sick. And that's what keeps you going. I think with this, it's very, very similar in a sense of like, try to focus on like, even if you're doing a gig a month, like, or if you're, even if you're like, really it's slow or whatever, but like try to like focus on that one thing that is positive, and like keep moving from there. And I think like when I did my first, like, let's say my first trying to think, but like my first like pace off program, like my first like Passover program, like when I did that, I was like, I made it. That's like I made it. Like I'm in the newspaper. Like it was a 2x2 ad, but like I'm there. Like I'm in the ad. Like I made it to the newspaper, and like that to me was massive, and like that just made me feel so good. And like from there, and that just keeps you going, and then you go on to do for me, like let's say I don't know, like I'm trying to like keep it like simpler than stuff I've been doing recently, because that stuff's absolutely wild. Like even I realize, like I don't take this for granted. So I realize the stuff that's wild and the stuff that's crazy is crazy. Like I'm not saying that it's not crazy, but even like my first like 200 person show, or my first my first time, or even not even the first time, but like when you're doing stuff, when I was doing what I was doing when I was busy 3 times a week doing really small parties, like that, I just felt like a professional. I felt like I was doing it. I was gigging. I was doing what I needed to do. And, and I was looking around and I was seeing other people who have been in the space longer than I have doing way less. So, I think it was just cool to like see that growth. But yeah, I think staying in the moment and like really like feeling where you're at that point and not looking too far ahead is very, very, very important. And yeah, I think even now, like the stuff that I'm doing and like, kind of doing a lot of stuff with athletes and celebrities and really like doing crazy stuff. It's just crazy because it's kind of unreal. Like, and I think everyone has to keep that mindset of like, don't take it for granted. Like, you'll be way happier when you sit there and you appreciate every single one of these opportunities. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a long-winded answer, but I think those are all like very important things.
I mean, listen, in a society where we are, I guess, wired to have instantaneous results, right? Instantaneous success. I think so many people are caught up in, and I'm guilty of this, right? Starting this podcast, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I'll get 1 million followers and 10. No, kidding. But like, I thought I was gonna have instantaneous success because like I think this is a good idea. I'm passionate about this. I love the guests I bring on. I love editing the videos, whatever. Instantaneous success is not a thing. Like, let's be real here. You had to work, like you said, 1,000 shows, guys. That's 5 years, literally 5 years worth of shows before he could actually start monetizing and building his brand to get to the next level. I think it's so important that, talk about living in the moment, that with every single show you're doing, with every opportunity you're doing, with every, little thing that you're adding to your show, right? Like, it's so important to realize that that's just like a little piece of the puzzle that gets you to the shows where you want to be. And I mean, I think you just said it so well that like you need to have, in order to like actually be successful, whether it's magic, whether it's business, whether it's, whatever, you're following your passion, you need to have that mindset of like, hey, I'm living in the moment. I'm so appreciative that I get to do, for example, I'm so appreciative that I get to do this podcast episode, right, with Shlomo, and we're sitting here and talking. In all honesty, like there are probably people out there reaching out to Shlomo and saying like, hey, like, you're so cool. Like, let's have a conversation, whatever. And I thankfully, through networking, which we're going to get into in a second, I thankfully was able to reach out to Shlomo, get him on my show. But in all honesty, like, it's so important to really think about, think in the moment, live in the present, but then also know that like, listen, like Shlomo, like he's a great guy and we're having a great show right now, but also like, he's going to help me continue to grow my show.
Yep,
right.
absolutely.
And I just think, and I think it's just so important to realize, like, even though it's the little wins that I think really, really keep me going, keep Shlomo going. But I think you said it. I think you said it really well. Like that's.
Yeah, I think also like, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think also like there's a lot of anxiety that comes with, anxiety is a whole topic on its own, but there's a lot of anxiety that comes with, being an entertainer, being a performer, just from a standpoint of like, do people like me? That's number one. And like, number two is like, there's the anxiety of like, this is how I put food on the table. Like, this is how I'm supporting my family. Like, like, I don't know, like, do I know that next year I'm going to be as busy as I was this year, or the year after I'm going to be busy as I was, I don't know that. So, it's the type of thing where like that lends to like, anxiety and worrying about, okay, like, how am I going to keep this going? How am I going to make this better? How am I going to grow this? And I think sometimes like I'm guilty of it, of myself, of not being in the moment, and like not being like, okay, well, when that comes, we'll deal with it. And like, not thinking too far ahead. That doesn't mean like don't plan, like don't plan ahead. Don't I'm a huge believer in like a think tank. Like I think a think tank is one of the best ways to brainstorm and come up with ideas. I think that we're very wired, and like we're very the way we are is we're very selfish in a sense of like, we think we know everything. So like, if I can't come up with this, if whatever ideas I have, that's what we're doing. And then that the reality is like, we're not limited to that, because if we have a group of people and you have people thinking in all different types of ways, and you put those things together, you'll come out with way better ideas than you'll come with on your own. So I think that like, even if I have an idea that I think is great, I'll ask my wife, I'll ask my brother, I'll sit down, I'll talk to people about it, and I'll say, hey, how do we what do you think about this idea, and how do we make this better? And there will always, without a doubt, be a way to make it better. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing. Like, that's perfect. So like, it could start here, but it has to end in a place where, it has to end in a place where I'm getting multiple angles of feedback on it. And like, understanding like, okay, this is the body of work I want to do. And I think that's super, super important. And that's the best way to really grow. And like, also one other thing, and this is like the last thing I'll say on this, don't, it's very hard for me, at least. I'm very, very, very like, I have a very hard time letting go of things. I'm very self-reliant and self-sufficient. Like, I need to do it myself. Like, I have to. And I think sometimes, and I've learned from this, and it's still, it's still something that I struggle with. But there are times where you have to let go in order for your business to grow. Like, you have to be able to say, okay, I trust somebody else to get this job done, even though this is something that I know that I can do, but kind of pass that off and say, okay, I trust that this person is going to do this, you know, either just as good or if not better than I'm doing it. And I've seen that. I used to edit all my own videos. Like, I used to do everything myself. I'm like, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, no one else knows how I want this to look. I know how I want this to look, but no one else does. And then, I pass that torch off, and I think my content quality is just 10 times better now than it was then. Or even like bookkeeping, or just, it could be anything. But I think that just kind of like letting go and like allowing yourself to form a group or a team is very important.
You touched on so many important things, not letting go, bouncing ideas off of people. Just the idea of having human interaction, I think, is so important. It's funny, for my homework, I was reading this article that talks about how AI is going to take over all the analytical kind of gigs. But the one thing that people are going to need to have is people skills, right? Being empathetic, understanding how to relate to people, and just knowing like what people want, how to talk to people, all this stuff, right? And clearly, Shlomo, you in your personal brand and your skills portfolio, right? When people think of Shlomo, right, they think of him as a funny guy, right? As somebody that's very creative. You got to wow them. As somebody that's very personable, right? All these things kind of make up who you are as a person, your skills, etc. But again, one thing I want to touch on specifically in that kind of personal brand portfolio of skills is your ability to network. You're not just being thrown these opportunities to go perform in front of the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? You're not thrown these opportunities to be shown on, Daily Mail and ABC TV and all these really cool like news outlets. How do you network to get your personal brand, to get your brand as a magician in front of all these people that are going to help you continue to, tenfold, 100-fold grow, your presence and your awareness?
This is a whole topic, but I guess what I'll say on this is two important things here, and we talked about this when we spoke on the phone. I think there is a very, very, very fine line of there's a really like a tightrope that you need to walk when it comes to networking, and I think that sometimes people overextend either way, and that's what comes to at the end of the day kind of fail their opportunities. But I think the two very important things are patience, which I don't have, so I don't know how this is working out, but I think patience is very important. And I think patience, and also being able to put yourself out there, I guess. And I'll explain both those things. I think patience is very much from the standpoint of, if you meet someone, that opportunity that person can potentially provide you won't necessarily come right away. I think that some people think like, okay, I'll meet this guy and hey, he's friends with that guy who knows that guy, and there you go. But in reality, that takes time, and that takes, relationship building. And honestly, like, I know for me along the way, I've met some amazing people who, I've networked with, and who even to this day I still talk to, even though most of the opportunities that person could have provided me, were extinguished. Like, I think that you meet some really, really cool people, and I think you have to go in with the mindset of, that relationship being genuine and you're not just trying to use them. Because I think that when when you're doing that, when you're trying to, when you're trying to just go into a networking opportunity by just using somebody to get to the next place, I think those people genuinely feel that, and it's very hard to portray a fake relationship where you're just trying to use someone and you don't really care about the person that you're talking to at the moment. I think it's very hard to fake that, and I think that being able to like be genuine about it is very, very important. Like, I genuinely care. Like my wife will get annoyed at me because like I'll say to someone, like I'll meet somebody random and I'll say like, oh, like someone will come over to me and they'll say like, oh, hey, like I've seen your videos, like you're super cool. And I'll say, yes, thank you, you're right, I am. But no, I'll say, no, I'll say thank you so much, I really appreciate it. Like, what's your name? Where are you from? And I just start asking them questions because I genuinely am curious. Like, I genuinely want to know. And like my wife will say to me, she'll be like, why do you have to ask them so many questions? Like, they just came over to you, like, you could say thank you and that's it. And like for me, like, it's not just because like I'm, I just like to ask questions. Like, I genuinely want to know. Like, I'm curious. Like, what's your name? Where are you from? Like, like what do you do? Like, and it interests me. Like, literally today, I was in an elevator and there was a dude and he said, "What's up?" And I said, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Oh, where are you from?" He said, "Seattle." I'm like, "Cool. Like, what are you doing in New York?" He's like, "Oh, I'm I build TV studios." I'm like, "That's crazy. That's sick. Like that's wild. Like, I don't know. Like, that stuff just interests me. Like, I want to know stuff." So, yeah, just I think being genuine, patience, being genuine, and then also I think also like, being personable to an extent where you're not being overbearing is very important. Keeping up these relationships, but not too much. Like, I've had people reach out to me that were like, it's just honestly sometimes like, I don't want to be like not nice about this, but like sometimes it's just like annoying. It's like, I love helping people. Like, I tell magicians all the time, like, if you ever have any questions that, you want to know about marketing or even just magic or in general, if you want to know anything, like, reach out. I'll help you out. And because I understand that I'm in a place that other people would love to be in, and I get that. So I would definitely, I always love to help people. And there are times where people abuse that and it's annoying, but like, I'm not going to block them. I'm not going to tell them to stop. But, if I wasn't me or if I was somebody else, you'd be blocked. Like, that person would never text you back ever again. So I think, I think it's very important to, like, to keep a relationship with someone, but do it in like a very like respectful way. I think is awesome. And that people will respect that. Like, if you find out what that person enjoys, what they're into, and just talk to them about that, or you find something that interests them, and some, if they're into bourbon, send them a bottle, like, just from a genuine place, like, I think those things go a long way, and eventually those relationships will hopefully end up where you want them to end up. I also think one important thing too is like, not always, but from my experience, it's much easier when you have something to offer. So like for me, like, I'd have something to offer. Like, I'm coming to entertain you. I'm like, let's say in the Dodgers situation. So I got to know Walker Buehler and his agent, and then in turn that led to the opportunity with the Dodgers. I think that obviously I had something to offer the team. I had something to offer them. So that makes it much easier for them to say, okay, yeah, this is something we want to do. But I think even without that, I think even if you're just networking for business opportunities or, obviously, like, let's say someone's looking for investments or someone's looking for, in your case, let's say guests or, stuff like that. I think you'd be surprised. Like, I think people more often than not, kind of like myself, like to hear ourselves talk and feel important. So I think that, having a guest on a podcast, like everyone sees clips of people on podcasts and they always want to be a guest. So, if you reach out to someone, chances are they'll say yes, because it's just cool. It's a cool opportunity to just talk about, whatever's on your mind. But I think that even if when it comes to like business and opportunities that are much more, difficult or it's, whether you're trying to get clients or you're trying to, try to get, investment opportunities, or even someone who's like fundraising or collecting tzedakah. Like, I think that when it comes to networking and building those relationships, those are so, so, so important, because once, when you get to a place where you do build a very strong relationship and those people can trust you, that's where you'll be successful. Because, when people trust you, you're building that personal connection, and you're showing them also that, hey, like, I'm not just using you, like, I'm not just asking you for something and then never talking to you ever again. I think that, the longer the relationship develops before you actually get to the point where you're trying to get to, I think is actually better, because I think the longer the relationship, the more the person understands that, like, okay, like, this person is genuine. Like, no one's being in no one's having a 3-year business relationship with someone, or a 5-year business relationship with someone that has no benefit for them if they're not being genuine. That's just not happening. So, I think, like, just being patient, just being respectful, genuinely wanting to know what's going on, and connecting with people. Amazing recipe. And that's my piece.
Thi- This is like your schmoozing 101 class, everyone. There, like, I mean, all I gotta say is wow. Like, this guy wows people with his magic, but I think really the personality, the schmoozing ability, the ability to sell, the ability to network, the ability to have patience, right? That's all something that you need to have to be successful as a magician in your career. And Shlomo, like, he just told us, like, awesome stuff. Like, this advice, I mean, can take you really, really cool, good places, like it did for Shlomo. And I think, listeners out there that are in college, stuck in their careers, wherever it is, like, this is something that, like, I think going back and re-listening to that, because I think that's literally everything you need to know about schmoozing and about having purposeful conversations and adding value. And I could literally, like, Shlomo and I could literally do an entire episode on adding value through a conversation. Yeah. But I think, again, like, so important stuff that, like, this is literally, like, this guy, 14 years old, learns magic, yeah, picks up all these other skills and learning how to network and how to promote his personal brand, all this stuff. Like, this is just great stuff. I mean, you didn't even do a magic trick for me. Like, you've already wowed me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what I'm going for. I'm serious. That's what I'm going for.
One, I want to be mindful of our time here. One final question for you. And this might be, if you can give me a short answer, great. But if not, that's totally fine. What is the coolest thing you've made disappear?
Ooh. The coolest thing I made disappear, like, in reality, it's a good question. I'm not a big, like, disappearing type of like, I don't do a lot of magic where I make things vanish. I guess the coolest thing, I'll say this, the coolest thing that I made appear, was, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. I did this really cool piece with Pete Alonso. So I made, like, a really customized pair of cleats appear inside a shoebox, that he just thought of, and it just appeared inside there. So that was probably the coolest thing I've done with appearing or disappearing. Yeah, it was pretty sick. So if you haven't checked it out, it's on YouTube, it's on Instagram. Go look it up. It's absolutely wild.
I haven't even watched the video yet. Full transparency, I haven't watched the video yet, but I can only imagine, like,
I was really proud of that project. I think that was something that, I had this idea in my head, and I, again, like, networking wise, like, I knew the right person, and I texted him and I said, hey, like, let's go out to lunch. Like, I have an idea I want to share with you. And he's like, absolutely. We sat down, we talked about it. He loved the idea. A few weeks later, we were filming this idea, and it was such a crazy project, because it was also the amount of time that we had to prepare was so short. So we really had to take care of everything, like, last second, and just, we had a one shot at it, and it, thank God, turned out amazing. But yeah, I really, like, that's one of my, like, prouder projects that I've worked on. Yeah, there's some magicians that I look at and I'm like, dang, like, that person is way more creative than I'll ever be. And I think this was the type of thing that, like, I feel proud of. Like they're like, okay, this is something that like, like you see on like a Netflix show. Like this is something like that good that like takes that much preparation. I want to be able to get to a place where I'm like, really like putting in real creative effort into everything I do. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's the goal. There's been projects that I'm really proud of. There's stuff that I'm like, could have done better, but it is what it is. You got to take those opportunities that, sometimes things happen and it's just not the way you want it to happen. I've had that happen to me, not in the best way. Like I've literally had a time where I was on a live show and just didn't go well at all. And honestly, the reason it didn't go well was just experience. I was in a position that I've never experienced before, and I didn't know how to handle it. And now I know how to handle it. So, sometimes you got to learn the hard way, but I think part of that is just, being able to move on, move forward and like say, okay, what's next? How am I going to make that better? So, 100%. I definitely think so. If you haven't seen the Pete Alonso thing, go watch it. It's one of my favorite pieces. Yeah.
It's awesome stuff. Go watch the Pete Alonso thing. Shlomo, I literally, again, you left me speechless. Like this man, like great episode. I really want to thank you for coming on today.
This was a lot of fun. I love the fact that like, I know we're going to talk about feedback after, but just for the people to hear, like I definitely, I could see the work that you've been putting in. Like I see like how, I see how, first of all, your personality is great. And like,
thank you.
I think also you have that aspect of like being like super genuine. Like, I know a lot of people have podcasts because they want to hear themselves talk and not their guests. This is awesome because like, I feel like you really understood what I was saying. And like, we're really listening to kind of what the stuff I'm trying to, give over. And, I'm like, I'll tell you more about this later, but like, just like I could see, I've done this a few times and I think that people come with like a list of questions and they just bang through the list. I think this is a different animal because I think that even though you do have a structure and you do have the stuff that you want to talk about and you want to have, there's always an incredible way to be able to, and this is a real talent to like be able to like weave in the natural conversation of what you're saying on record that we're talking about that you have no idea, you don't know where the conversation is going to go. But to be able to take whatever the person's talking about, whether it's on topic, off topic, and kind of being able to like, kind of veer that towards the next question or into the conversation that you want to get to, super impressive. Like really, really impressive.
Thank you.
I love that.
I appreciate that. And listen, I obviously appreciate that little shout out, but more importantly, I want to give you a shout out. Like, where can people find you on social media to find your stuff?
So I made this very simple for everybody. All my socials are at Shlomo Levinger. That's it. Like at Shlomo Levinger. Instagram, YouTube. I'm really firing up the YouTube these days. I'm really focused on that. So, trying to put out a video a week. So, YouTube is the place right now. Instagram is huge. My Facebook is linked to my Instagram. So like if you're a Facebook person, I don't know why, but sure. LinkedIn for the business people. I post on LinkedIn. Those are the spots to see my stuff. My website is shlomolevinger.com. Currently updating that, so it should look a little different in the next few months. That's pretty much it. If you like magic, you want to see cool content, check it out. It's a blast. It's a good binge. If you haven't seen it. So, definitely go check it out. And I think we should end with a trick. I feel like that's the way to do it.
Let's do a trick. Let's do it.
I'm gonna show you the trick that I showed Shohei Ohtani. So I hope that's okay with you.
All right, let's do it.
I got a deck of cards here, and I'll keep my hands and my sleeves rolled up, and I'll keep my hands like in full view with the deck the entire time, so there's like nothing going on off camera, because I can literally I can take something, like banish it, or I'll do better actually, but I can banish something and then just like ditch it off screen, and then like you would never know. So I'm gonna take all that out of play here, and I'm just gonna keep the deck of cards in frame the entire time.
Okay.
So here's what I'm gonna have you do. I want you to think of a card. I want you to think of any card in the world, ace through king, suit, hearts, clubs, spades, diamonds, whatever you want. Don't let me influence you. I want you to genuinely, you can change your mind a few times if you'd like. Change your mind a few times. I want you to really land on a card that's super random and something that there's no way in the world that I could have known that you would be thinking of. When you have one, you can just say it out loud. You can tell people what card you're thinking.
Okay, wait, so I should just tell it to people?
Yeah, go for it. Say it out loud.
All right, 3 of hearts.
3 of hearts. Random, yes?
Yeah, completely random.
100%.
I did
Do you
not.
want to change? You're good with that.
3 of hearts, yeah.
Okay. I've been holding this deck in screen, in frame. For those of you who are listening on whatever other platform you're listening on and you're not watching this, I'm holding a deck of cards in full view the entire time. David said 3 of hearts. I'm just going to take the cards out of the box. I won't do anything, okay? I'm going to take the cards out of the box. Box is empty. I'll leave that down here. And I'm just going to spread through the cards. Can you see the cards?
Yeah.
I'm going to spread through the cards. And I left some cards facing the wrong way. I don't know if you can see that.
Yep. Ace.
Can you see those aces?
Yep.
For those of you who are listening, there are some aces that are turned over the wrong way. I think there's one around here somewhere.
Yep.
There it is. And then the last one is all the way at the front.
Right.
So we got 4 face-up aces in the deck. And genuinely, all the rest of the cards are face down.
Yep.
The only 4 cards that are face up are the 4 aces.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put away the rest of the cards. But I will not take these out of frame. You said 1 card. And I took out 4 aces, which is not 3 of hearts. You said 3 of hearts.
3 of hearts.
These are not. This is 4 aces facing the wrong way in the deck. But there's a reason I left these facing the wrong way in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
You know why I left them the wrong way in the deck? Because I actually took these. That was a blue deck, by the way, I was holding. I took this from a red deck, and I wrote words on the back. What does that say?
No way. No way.
3.
What?
The 3 of hearts. Rain on the backs of all 4 aces. And if you can't see David right now, his mouth is wide open in disbelief, and his hands are on his head, which is the correct reaction. There you go. So yeah, the 3 of hearts. You just any card. So wild. Yeah.
I want to say I didn't even tell Shlomo that he was doing a magic trick, and he's like, "Yeah, let's do a magic trick." I'm like, yeah, we're doing it, guys. I'm posting that on social media. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. All right, guys, make sure follow Shlomo on social media. Awesome episode. You're gonna get a lot out of it. And Shlomo, thank you again. Till next time, keep schmoozing.